What's up guys, it's Meg and it's that time of the week again where we get to look dead ahead to see what's coming on next week's episode of The Walking Dead. Today we're discussing our theories and predictions for season 6 episode 11 called Knots Untie. Today we're also discussing the 3 promos that have aired for it. So one of the promos was aired after the episode. It's also available online on the AMC YouTube page. That's kind of the main one where we see Jesus is taking them to the hilltop and kind of encompasses the entire episode. We also see another sneak peek promo that was featured on AMC's YouTube channel of just Abe and Sasha, which I'm so thrilled to see a promo just of them because I feel like it's leading into really big things here. And then there's also a very short promo that aired right after, or not right after, during the Talking Dead episode. Now for this predictions video, normally I will insert images and screenshots of what I'm talking about. For the 3rd promo that aired during the Talking Dead with Maggie and Glenn discussing kind of the food situation and the tomatoes and that thing, I do not have image stills for that. You can, I was having trouble finding it on YouTube basically because it only aired on the Talking Dead, but I couldn't really find any good quality images for it. So you'll have to use your imagination here. I'm sure most of you have seen it. If not, there is kind of a poor quality version available on YouTube if you search for it. So you can see it there, but I won't be inserting images into this predictions video. So I wanted to start out with the Abe and Sasha promo. I'm really excited about this, mainly being a comic reader, and I should tell you guys that there might be slight comic spoilers in this episode of Dead Ahead here. I'm not going to say outright any death scenes or how people die or anything like that. I am going to discuss something that may kind of, a theory that I have that I feel like is probably going to happen. So it could potentially ruin something for you, but like I said, I don't know anything for sure. This is all just theories and predictions. I don't think it's a horrible thing to ruin from the comics for you, and quite frankly, it's such an old story from the comics that if you haven't read it by now, I kind of don't feel that bad. But I thought I would just put that comic spoiler warning in here just in case you don't want to see this any further. So Abe and Sasha, in the comics, you guys know that Abraham left Rosita for Holly. And he kind of had a affair, if that's what you want to call it, with Holly behind Rosita's back. Rosita finds out about it. She's really heartbroken, she really cared about Abraham, and he pretty much told her that while he did care for her, it was kind of just the situation they were in and the fact that they were thrown together and he liked her and it worked. Now that he's discovered this bigger world here and that there are other women, he's actually found someone who he likes more and he feels more for. So he leaves her for Holly. Eventually, along time down the road, Holly is killed when she's captured by Negan. So how that ties into this promo. Now obviously there is no Holly here anymore in the Walking Dead television show. We have seen Abe and Sasha being thrown together in the first half of the season, the episode with Daryl. They were thrown together and we kind of saw a little connection there with them when they were in the office building. And it was a slight connection, but Abraham is very intrigued by Sasha. And Sasha has always been very standoffish, especially since Bob. So I don't know that she's necessarily interested in pursuing anything with Abraham here. But in this promo we know it's been 2 months since they came back from the fuel truck and everything. It's been 2 months since that office situation, and they've been doing patrols together, and they're friends. They have this connection there. And in the promo, we don't know kind of what led to this conversation, but Abe says, already called me an idiot, and Sasha says, never had to, and he goes, yeah, I'll see you tomorrow. And in these images here, you just kind of see this smile on Abraham's face, and you can just tell that there is this connection here where he does like her. At least I believe that he likes her, is intrigued by her, and she's pulling away here in this promo. So she says, actually, no, you're not gonna see me tomorrow. She tells him how she switched her patrol duty, and basically there's no reason for her to switch her patrol duty except to get away from him. And I think he kind of realizes this a little bit, and she tells him that Eugene will be taking over her patrol duty with Abe. So basically she's just not going to be around him anymore. And to me, I see this more as she may be starting to have some sort of feelings for him as well, and she doesn't want to go there. I really believe that she, after Bob died, after kind of falling for Bob and liking Bob and then seeing him killed in this horrible way, she's kind of closed herself off to feeling this. She also lost her brother. So these people that she's loved or cared about about have been taken away from her, have been ripped away from her in this world that they're living in. So I kind of feel like she's very closed off. She doesn't want to feel that anymore. And the fact that she's pulling away from Abraham, she's trying to distance herself from this, and I really think that that's only going to pique Abraham's interest in her more. It's just going to cause him to pursue her even more. She just intrigues him, I think. Also, it's kind of confirmed for me at the end of episode 9, where we see a lot of our main characters sitting outside of the house where Carl's inside with Denise, and Rick is talking to Carl. We see everyone outside, and Rosita, who has, you know, we heard her talking to Tara in the garage saying it feels like he's dead, and you can tell that she really missed him and was really hoping to see him alive again, and she was really sad that she might never see him again, really upset over it. And then when they're finally reunited, to see her standing off to the side with her arms crossed, and Abraham kind of in a different spot, not too far from Sasha, that kind of just confirms to me that he's pulling away from Rosita and moving towards Sasha. So my theory here, not to make this video incredibly long, but my theory here is that Sasha is going to take on that Holly relationship from the comics. So we're going to eventually see them get together. Abraham is going to leave Rosita. I feel it. I feel like this is what's going to happen. And I'm wondering though, will Sasha get that death from the comics? Will she be the one to be captured by Negan and not survive? Let me know what you guys think about that theory in the comments. Okay, moving right along. I don't want to make this too long, although we know how my videos are, so they probably are going to be long no matter what. The main promo. So basically, at the end of last episode, we have Michonne and Rick in bed, and they're woken up by Jesus. Now, Jesus was supposed to be in the prison cell where they kept Morgan. He was unconscious the last time that they saw him before they went to bed. And I thought that they said that Daryl was standing guard. Now, he may not have been, but I thought for sure that Daryl was standing guard here. So obviously Jesus escapes. He wakes Rick up in the middle of the night, which is kind of weird, but he says we need to talk. Then in this promo, we see him talking Rick into visiting where he's from. Now, me reading the comics, I know that he's referring to the hilltop. This is where Jesus's group is, and it also is a part of a bigger community out there where there's the hilltop, and then we have the kingdom, and Rick and crew have no idea that these other places, communities are out there. And so I love the moment where Jesus says, your world's about to get a whole lot bigger. And then we see them getting in the trailer, and Rick's got a pretty good sized group with him. We see them in the trailer, so obviously they're going to the hilltop. I feel like Jesus has convinced them to come visit my place, see if it's everything, you know, see that I'm not lying, see that I'm telling you the truth. Maybe we can work out a trade. So we see them in the trailer. They're driving, and at some point they're on foot. And if you look in this image where everyone's on foot, there is 2 men, I believe, in the background here, and one is holding the other up as if they have some kind of foot injury or something like that. So either they leave the trailer at some point somewhere, something happens with the trailer, or they go on foot for whatever reason to get to the hilltop. Now, I'm curious, I can't really tell in this image who these 2 people were. At first I thought it was Spencer, but I just really can't make it out. Let me know if you guys can figure out who those 2 people are, and if you have any theories on what happened to them. But Jesus is leading the way. Then we see another scene where they're standing right outside of the trailer. We see Jesus up front, and then we see Rick behind him, and they're like looking out, and Jesus almost has like a smirk or like a knowing look on his face. And I really think that at this point, when they're getting out of the trailer and they're looking at something, that they're actually kind of up on a hill or an overlook or something, and looking down and seeing either the hilltop community from far away. Because remember the poster? This is the poster where, for our season 6B poster, where it said a larger world, and it has Rick and Michonne, and they're overlooking, and you can see the smoke from the community. This was also a comic book cover. So this was this poster was a remake of the larger world comic book cover, where we see Rick, and I'm not sure who else was there with him. I'd have to go back and look, but he's overlooking, and you can see from far away, and you can see the smoke for another community. So I think it would be really neat to tie that in, to have this image of Jesus and Rick and crew looking out onto something and have that actually be a view of the community from far away. So like I said, I think most of this episode is going to be about Jesus convincing Rick and co to head to the hilltop, to visit his place, to make connections here. And they're going to do that. They're going to go out on the road and head to the hilltop. Whether or not in this particular episode they will actually make it to the hilltop is kind of to be determined here. I'm not sure if, you know, I kind of think they will make it to the hilltop, but then there's going to be another episode, you know, or something before we actually see them enter the hilltop and meet like Gregory or however they're playing that character and all of that stuff out. And some exciting things happen in the comics at that point. So it'd be interesting to see if those things play out as well in the television show, or if they change things around a bit. We know that Rick is really skeptical of this Jesus. He says if this is a trap or something, it's not going to end well for you. It's gonna be an interesting episode no matter what. Okay, and on to the last promo. It's the Talking Dead promo, the one with Glenn and Maggie talking. Now they're outside in the evening. Maggie is setting up trellises for the tomatoes, and she makes a comment that if they can get them to grow vertically, they will produce more. And Glenn starts helping her. He stands there and is helping her, and then she says, but I still haven't seen a single bud. And you can tell that she's worried. She mentions rationing the food, like I've been talking about before, that they have been rationing the food, but they can only ration it so far. So they are going to have to start producing food in order to continue to live here. So she's setting up the garden here, and I love seeing it because it's always just a reminder of Herschel and the way that she grew up on the farm. And I love those little kind of throwbacks where we're suddenly reminded, you know, of Herschel, of the farm, of like a former life here. And Maggie voices this worry to Glenn. I still haven't seen a single bud. And he says, it'll grow. We're going to be okay. And she just kind of looks at him, and then they're interrupted by, they look over and they see Denise running up the stairs out of the house. I'm assuming that that is where the prison cell was. And I think that the reason she's running up is she's freaked out because Jesus is not there. She's gone to check on his head injury and he's gone. And then she runs up, and I believe that's Abe. If you watch the promo, let me know, but it looks like Abe hears what she has to say and then runs down too. And then we see Maggie and Glenn run as well, and the scene's cut. To have this conversation with Maggie and Glenn where he says we're going to be okay, it's so ominous. Being a comic book reader, we know that Glenn dies in the comics in a very horrible, awful way, and that particular death is coming in the season 6 finale here. And it's kind of yet to be determined. Will it be Glenn, like in the comics? Will it be Daryl? There's a lot of possibilities here, and there's a lot of strong opinions. But hearing a conversation like this, where we do see Maggie still pregnant, just like the comics, we see that Glenn and her are still together. We see that Enid is becoming this Sophia role from the comics, and everything is building up to this point, and it really seems like they are leading us to Glenn's death here. And it seems like the writers for the television show are building this story in a very specific way that has to do with Maggie and Glenn, the baby, Enid, and it seems like they're moving in that direction, and we're moving to the hilltop, and we're moving into Negan is coming very soon, and that death is coming very soon, and I really feel like it's going to be Glenn at this point. And to be honest, I'm sad, and yet I'm happy at the same time because I love Daryl too, but I'm happy to see that death from the comics come to life, even though it gives me so much anxiety. I want to cry just thinking about it. So I don't know, it's kind of like I'm happy but I'm terrified. Let me know if you can relate to that at all. And also let me know what you think about this conversation between Maggie and Glenn. I mean, it seems pretty ominous, doesn't it? Let me know what you guys think. All right, you guys, that is my predictions for season 6, episode 11. If I missed anything, feel free to let me know in the comments, and let me know your predictions. What do you think is going to happen in episode 11? What do you think about Sasha and Abe? What do you think about Glenn and Maggie? What do you think about Jesus and the Hilltop? I'm so excited for next episode. Okay, you guys, I love you. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys next week with my reaction video for episode 11. Hope you guys are having a great day. Bye.